again, not even factored into all of this. Let's bring in National Taxpayers Union Senior Fellow Mattie Duppler. You know the other stunning number that's giving Democrats headache, Mattie?
Yeah.
256,000 manufacturing jobs over the last year or so. That's also a headache for Democrats. So what's working here? What's behind all this?
All of it's working. I hate to say it, but we actually have a government that's listening to the American people. When the American people sent Donald Trump to the White House, he knew exactly what for, and that was to make America competitive again. So listen, a lot of this has to do with two main things. That is the deregulatory agenda that is pursued by the Trump administration and the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. And as you mentioned, this is really the beginning of the progress we're going to see as a result of the tax cuts being phased in. Those job numbers today, really, really optimistic, but we've got a lot to look forward to as businesses continue to adjust to this new competitive tax system.
You know, to your point, Mattie, Democrats still saying they can fix everything with big government, but big box retailer, look at the private market, what they're doing. Costco now raising its minimum wage to $14 an hour, and Walmart giving college tuition. Your reaction?
Yeah, two big things today. One is the news from private employers that they're doing the things the left only thinks government can do, which is improve workers' compensation, improve all of the pay that workers get. But also, if you look at that jobs report, something that's really important to pay attention to. Of all those jobs that are created, 223,000 new jobs, 218 of them are private sector jobs. So it's no longer the idea that the public sector is the only one that can create jobs. We know that not to be the case. The private sector is out there doing it.
That's a great point, because in other jobs reports, it was the government creating jobs. Look at MSNBC. Remember, Mattie, when MSNBC said tax cuts would not work, that companies would not give those tax cuts back. Watch.
The market is doing very well because companies are flush with cash. And when they are flush with cash, they're not paying their employees more. They're doing dividends. They're doing stock buybacks. This is so dangerous. Why would Republicans want to sell this to the American people? The administration makes the argument when you give corporations these taxes, they're going to create jobs, they're going to give people higher wages. I dispute that point because corporations are flush with cash today, and they're not doing that.
Well, guess what? There's 6.6 million job openings. So, businesses have to compete to get qualified workers in. They're raising wages so much that the Federal Reserve is talking about raising rates even more to battle inflation. Go ahead, take that on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And as wages rise with a competitive economy, what we're going to see are businesses starting to use that excess capital and invest it back in their workers. They want those workers to be more productive. So what does that mean? That means wages continue to grow up. We see not only announcements like what Walmart and other employers said today, but we see capital investment. We see businesses starting to invest back in the United States and back in their workers. And that's really what's going to impel growth forward as we move into the next couple of quarters here in 2018.
All right, let's move on. President Trump now being criticized for tweeting about the jobs number before the government released this market moving report this morning. The president had already seen the jobs number when he tweeted out this, quote, "Looking forward to seeing the employment numbers at 8:30 a.m. this morning." And, he broke protocol when he did that. But now this, MSNBC turned that tweet into a conspiracy theory without any evidence, without any proof. They claim that the president tweeted, and he also phone called his billionaire friends to tip them off in order to make money in the market before that jobs number was coming out. Let's watch.
You can rock on it and say these numbers are great, and they are. The issue is that the president told the market they were great an hour before it was public. At the absolute worst, he tipped off the market, and you will look back on this and see where algos started to trade as soon as he put that tweet out. And then I'd like to knock on the door of the SEC and say, pardon me, sir, did the president of the United States just move markets? Because if he did, that's a big old problem.
I wonder if the SEC also might be looking at some of Donald Trump's closest friends, billionaires, to see their trading patterns.
He would not be beyond the thought for him to say, hey, guys, the numbers are 223.
Could Donald Trump be spouting this while he's on a golf course, while he's at Mar-a-Lago? Absolutely. We don't have evidence of that.
Okay, this is a conspiracy theory. There's no evidence for any of that. Then their own reporter told them, there was no unusual trading after the president's tweet. Remember, he did break protocol, but everything they just said, they had no proof for it. Let's watch what their own reporter is now saying.
In this particular instance, I did go back to check the tape, and there was, yes, a noticeable pickup in volume, but not a noticeable pickup in terms of price action.
Maddie, your reaction.
Well, for one, there's a difference between embargoed and confidential. The press report is embargoed simply because 8:30 is the time that it's released. But this is all data that happened last month. It's not some confidential information or some insider information on what's happening next.
But he did break protocol,
for
right?
For sure. Maybe he should lay off the tweeting button, but I think that's an argument that a lot of people like to make about the president.
But take on the idea that he tipped off and phone called his billionaire friends to make money.
Yeah, I think the idea here is that the other side is losing and they need something to distract from a jobs report. That
but you know what? Their viewers are.
good.
Wait a second, Maddie. Their viewers are watching that, saying that, you know what? That's fact. That happened. That's what they're telling their viewers without any evidence. They made up speculation, conspiracy theory, and they made like it was a fact.
I think that's
a problem.
true. I think that's true. I think that's problematic. But I'll return to the point that I made originally, which is that Americans sent Donald Trump to the White House for one reason, and that's because they wanted their own economic circumstances to improve. Looking at these job numbers today, that 100% manifests exactly what Americans are feeling right now, which is that their own personal circumstances are improving. They are richer this year than they were last year, and that's because of Donald Trump. So MSNBC or any other outlet out there can come up with some conspiracy theory to distract from that. It doesn't change the facts on the ground for real Americans.
Okay, Mattie Duppler, we love having you on. Come back soon.
Thanks for having me.
Now let's get to the Samantha Bee story. 2 advertisers now dropping Samantha Bee.